All right, welcome back, everybody, to the KC Sports Report. I'm your host, Michael Darcy, and tonight I am joined in studio by my producer, Dylan Michaels, and we're going to discuss everything Chiefs OTAs and as well as Justyn Ross and his possibility of making the team. So, Dylan, offseason OTAs have just kicked off for the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's exciting because we finally have some shred of football back.
Finally.
But, when you look at it, a guy that has been hyped up for the better part of the last month and a half is a guy by the name of Justyn Ross. And Justyn Ross is a wide receiver coming from Clemson. He had a lot of injuries in college. That's kind of why he didn't get drafted. The Chiefs picked him up as a UDFA right after the draft. And I don't want to say that he's been hyped up more than a lot of the draft picks, but he kind of has. Like, if you look at kind of what you're seeing from the media's perspective and all the highlights that we're seeing that are coming out, like just yesterday or today by the time we're recording this, he made a one-handed catch in offseason OTA practice, and it was just phenomenal. So, like, what do you think about the hype? I mean, is it well justified? Is it too much? I mean, what do you think?
I think every hype in the offseason can always be, boiled down to being overhyped because of the fact that they're in shorts right now and they're running routes on air. So there's always going to be that. But you can always also have an optimistic view of it and just be like, well, I mean, that's all he can do. I mean, that's all they can do at this point, so you can't really judge him on the fact that this is all they're doing because basically what he has to do is win a job in training camp, and this is the first steps he's going to take to do it. So, the one-handed catch is great. I think that you're right in the sense that the social media team with the Chiefs seems to be pumping him up a lot. There's a lot of
Chiefs
videos
Twitter's
of him.
just
but
losing their mind.
Right. And it's a good ploy, but it's also maybe a little bit of, we see this guy a lot more than everyone else does, and, man, he's doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So I think the front office likes him. I know, obviously, social media team likes him because we see, this is the third video now of him doing something awesome. And I know Andy Reid's a guy that lets people kind of, be themselves. He also gives guys, a lot of chances, good and bad. So I feel like he's going to be a guy that at least at the worst makes the practice squad. At the least, he's going to have a job in the NFL for the rest of his life, either being practice squad, coach. So, and I feel like if he's healthy, what reason is there? I mean, we see in practice these videos what he does. I mean, if he's what he was graded as 3 years ago and he's healthy, then who knows what this could be.
We have a superstar.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the guy that's pushing the hype train, but I was on record on Twitter saying this months ago. I guess I don't remember when the draft was. The days kind of blur together at this point in time, but right after the draft when we pick him up, I kind of watched his highlights, and he had a pretty big injury problem in college. I think he had a back injury that really kind of sidelined him, and then he had a foot injury last year.
But apparently he's played since the back injury.
Well, he did.
He played a season.
And it was last year, and then he got his ankle injured, I believe, and he didn't even test at the combine. He just decided to sit out. And I think that's probably because he's just like, dude, I'm not going to test. No, he did test at the combine, and it was terrible. Mm-hmm. His relative athletic score was really, really low, and it just kind of tanked his draft stock. But, the Chiefs have a really good training staff, and I trust their ability to kind of keep guys healthy. They've done a lot of great things. Yeah,
their training staff's won awards.
They're very good.
Yeah, they're very good.
And if our doctors are clearing him to play, I think he's at least worth a shot. And really quickly before you jump in, I think that, Justyn Ross is the kind of bet that all of Chiefs fans should be down for. A guy that's coming in as a UDFA that has all the talent in the world, that if he can stay healthy could be a elite wide receiver at the next level. I think this is something that, as a great organization that the Chiefs are trying to be, that's the kind of moves you have to make.
Yeah. And, Again, he was graded as a first-round talent for his entire career until injuries started happening. Now, not to throw shade on Clemson whatsoever, because they're obviously a program that's very, very pristine, but we don't know what their training staff's like. We don't know what they maybe gave him the option to play, knowing that, hey, it's up to you. We don't think so. Maybe you should, things like that. We have no idea, but it's great to know that he's in a facility that not only has one of the best, maybe the best training staffs, but also there's not going to be a lot of pressure on him because he's not a draft pick. He's not a first rounder, second rounder. He's on house money at this point, even though I'm saying like, oh, well, he was a great prospect and now he's not. But at this point, right now, where he stands right now, he is on house money in the sense that we didn't waste capital on him. Everyone didn't think he was going to be anything. And nobody even took that flyer on this 7th round, so we don't have to compete with other teams on this guy. And that motivates people. I mean, you watch Football Life or all these documentaries, and there's just a moment where these people are slighted. And it's all it takes. And all of a sudden, 6 years later, this guy could be something. And, again, it's early. There's nothing shorts and T-shirts, we can go out there and run routes. And look,
when you're not getting hit, it's a lot easier to look great.
I mean, it's a lot easier to make one-handed catches when there's not a DB on your back. But again, it's all I can do. And he's balling.
Yeah,
and he looks good.
And I think the thing that kind of makes me kind of perk my head up and say, okay, we might have something here, is the way that his fellow teammates are kind of reacting to some of the stuff that he's done.
Yeah.
Like that one-handed catch, Patrick Mahomes tweeted out, craziest part about this was the dude acted like it was normal after he caught it. And Travis Kelce said, I felt like I was the only one that got hyped when I saw it live. We need more juice, in all caps. Like,
I love that.
I just think that the guys know how talented this kid is, and my only concern is his health. If he's healthy, he's going to make the team. I don't have no problem saying that because he's got more talent than Mecole Hardman. He's got more talent than a lot of the wide receivers on this roster. And I think when push comes to shove and they're kind of narrowing down that wide receiver list, he's going to get the slight over guys like Doris Fountain or I can't remember the guy, Josh Gordon. He's going to get that extra edge because of how young he is and also the talent and kind of the pedigree that came with him being such a talented player.
Well, if I also to my point, what he's also, this is what I'm looking at a bird's eye view. If he's not excited about an OTA one-handed catch, I kind of like it. Maybe maybe his mindset is just like mine and all the greats is that I haven't done anything. I mean, it's a one-handed catch on air.
I do this every day.
This is regular. Yeah, it could be that too. It could be both. A little bit of both. Like, dude, I've been doing this my whole life. Put the pads on and let's go. And the other thing about the training staff is that they handle everything with almost a safe, not sorry approach. Like, remember when Pat's knee came out of place and he's like, I could have played that day. And they made him wait 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And it's like, they kind of treat everyone like that, and I like that. And I feel like that's what this kid's going to get is world-class health and, physical care and coaching.
And that's why he came.
And he's already had 3 years of it. I mean, if you respect Clemson, I know that people maybe don't like Dabo, but if you at least respect what they build there and the people they produce, like DeAndre Hopkins.
Did Sammy come from Clemson
Sammy,
too? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Dexter Lawrence, dudes that are ballers, cornerbacks all over the place, I'm sure. Don't have a list in front of me, but I know that they're always in there.
Clemson prospects are always very, very highly graded. And
right.
I think your point about, the health care and the coaching that he's going to receive here, that's why he chose to be a Kansas City Chief. He had offers from a lot of different teams.
Right.
And he chose to play with Patrick Mahomes, the best quarterback on the planet, and one of the best head coaches of all time in Andy Reid.
Right.
He chose this team.
He said that too, I think.
Yeah, he did. Because it's a perfect circumstance for him because, like you said, the pressure, it's kind of on him because of all this stuff that we're seeing on social media, and now he's kind of becoming a household name. But I think
almost rooting for him, though.
Yeah,
it's
we
almost
are.
Not, yeah, so you're right, but I feel like the pressure shouldn't even be on in that sense because the publicity he's getting is not you better be good. It's almost like we want you to be good. We want you to do well. We want you to succeed because we feel like it's kind of not right that you didn't even get drafted. I mean, you said it earlier. The guy was maybe the biggest fall you've ever seen, and I can't think of anyone from Grace.
I can't think of anybody that went from top 10 pick potentially to not even getting drafted.
From that Alabama game, when he just was making juniors and seniors look like freshmen as a freshman. I mean, it's been just a slight decline. And what that can also be is
he's been playing hurt.
Well, when you reach the mountaintop that early, that was their national championship.
Yeah.
Like Rocky, didn't want to get out of bed, he's got all this money now. I think that there's a little bit of that to it as well. I don't think I'm not accusing him of being a coaster or anything like that. I'm saying that, maybe there's some things that get slipped through the cracks a little bit.
I think
that when you're getting paid.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Once you're getting, because he had everything at that point. He probably had a little bit of money coming to him. I'm not saying that's wrong.
Dabo paid him. We can
Everybody,
say that.
we can stop acting like that never happened because kids have always deserved it. Whatever, we're gonna get past that. But
I just think
once he had everything such an early age, maybe he wasn't ready yet to see that, okay, I got to stay in shape. I got to make sure that I do an hour's worth of pre-work on my foot or on my back or on all this different stuff before I even hit the field. Because that's the thing that you learn is being a pro. And I feel like him becoming a pro, and if he's healthy and hungry, which all those things are seeming like he is, it could be,
it could be really special.
You could really find something in the 7th round, or my bad, not drafted.
If you can,
he was supposed to be in the, people were like, okay, here's where he goes, and he just didn't go.
Yeah. It almost reminds me of remember when the Chiefs traded for Travarius Ward from the Cowboys, and he kind of just started off as he just he got cooked in that Seattle game.
We traded a bag of balls.
Oh,
for him?
I don't remember what it was. It couldn't have been much.
I think it was Eckinger or Ellinger or whatever.
It was not much.
Yeah,
but he ended up being a really solid cornerback. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to be the same situation, but I think that what we're seeing to kind of conclude everything is that we're seeing this hype in camp. And I think that he's starting to kind of live up to that name value. And my only question if he can stay healthy. Because if he's healthy,
that's really the biggest one.
He is going to be more talented than half the receivers that we currently have on the roster. Mm-hmm. And I know that we're kind of talking about Justyn Ross, and we probably should be talking about like Sky Moore or Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
Is Sky Moore even on the field yet? I know they're kind of doing I was saying. They kind of like.
It's funny how we haven't seen anything about that.
Well, I think he could, it's one of those situations where if he, they say, if I had to play tomorrow, I could play tomorrow. There's no reason if he's tight in the hammy to just, open him up on the practice field to get a couple of videos of it. There's no point in that.
They're not going to rush anybody.
They never do. That's why they're world class.
It's also May. We've got a long time.
And that's why people
season.
like playing here and like playing for Andy and his staff is because they're world class. There's not a ton of pressure for these. Look, you're going to play, you're going to get paid. And we got people behind you, but we're not going to rush you. We're not going to make you feel like, Andy, I don't think screams to me as a guy that's like pressuring his players to play hurt and things like that. He's trying to let them go if they want to go.
Andy's almost too patient, in my opinion. Remember last year we were just kind of like, dude, just let Josh Gordon go. Just let him at least try to do something. Yeah. And it took him, 6-7 weeks into the season until he proved anything. But, to kind of wrap this whole thing up, I think that if Justyn Ross can stay healthy, I think he's going to make the team. Now, I know you might have a different opinion. What do you think about that?
Me?
Yeah.
About making the team?
Yeah. Do you think he's going to make the team?
Yeah.
I know it's kind of early, but
I think he worked practice squad at worst.
I think practice squad is still quote unquote making the team. So I would say,
all the teams can right their wrong.
Yeah.
Because that's the other thing too. You put out all these videos. You might have to keep him because all the other people are going to see this.
Oh my gosh!
Especially when they start playing preseason games.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, and
he's
excited.
Going against that's another thing to think about when he goes in preseason against their cornerback 8. And the guy that's going to be selling insurance, and he's graded as like a first-round pick, going up against these practice squad play. That'll be interesting.
Dummies at that point,
right?
Just a walking. Okay, I'm not trying to throw
at
shade at anybody. You're not going to make the team. They're just kind of out there,
right?
Maybe to land on a practice squad somewhere. But I just think that he's got all the talent. If he can stay healthy, he's going to be a really interesting option for the Kansas City Chiefs. And as the offseason develops, we'll talk about him more, and I'll go up to training camp and I'll watch him and I'll pay close attention because I think he's going to be a guy that a lot of people look at, and he could be like the Jody Fortson story where he doesn't make the team, but he just keeps getting better and better, and then he does make the team. So
here's what I think will end up happening is he will be a very, very valuable asset to our team doing the dirty work, maybe catching 5-yard outs or just getting open on plays when Pat's scrambling. I feel like that's going to be his role for maybe the first 2 years. And that would be a great ceiling for a guy that you got for nothing.
Yeah,
you paid
everything is a
what
bonus
was the
at this
signing
point.
bonus, right? I mean,
I don't know his
undrafted free
contract.
agent signing bonuses and contracts are not a lot,
Yeah.
especially not against your cap. But if you're gonna get a guy, I don't know how long they had, probably like 3 years too. So you get 3 years, even 2 years of good production and a good player that you didn't draft. That's pretty good.
Yeah, it sounds like a pretty good option.
I mean, that's like a lot of times we hit in the undrafted market. I mean, Tershawn Wharton is not a household name, but he's a good player.
Yeah,
he's a really solid. He's just solid.
Yeah, they need to play him more, but yeah.
I think so too. He's pretty fast and short and kind of hard to corral. I mean, you saw what he did to Pittsburgh. I mean, their line's terrible, but
yeah,
still, good players beat the hell out of bad players all the time, and he did that game. So
and good players will find a way to make it onto the field, and I think Justyn Ross could be one of those guys.
Yeah.
So Dylan, it was a pleasure to get you on this episode.
Yeah, man.
We're gonna have some interesting news in the next, I want to say, couple months.
Yeah, hopefully.
Which we're not going to tease yet, but just know that you might be able to hear us in other places that aren't on YouTube. But
more of me, which is bad for everyone.
Until next time, guys. Thank you for watching this video, and go Chiefs.